Hey guys, what I'd like to do in this video is talk about 27 reasons to hate iOS. Now, these are not my reasons, this is from a list on Twitter or X, but I'd like to go through the list and give you my opinion on it and then put it over to you guys. Now, the tweet is in response to Apple's keynote, where they announced a lot of upgrades to iOS, iPadOS, macOS, the whole ecosystem. Obviously, they've got Apple Intelligence there as well. But what I'd like to talk about is this tweet from Noah Cat. My hate for iOS still remains. Here are some of the features that I still find missing on iOS. Add yours below. Now, I will say for context, just so you know where I'm coming from, I do think that iPads are generally still the best tablets to buy. They're maybe not the best bang for your buck, but I do think iPads are still the best tablet overall. I've been using the iPhone 15 Pro Max for the last 8, 9 months since launch, and I've really grown to love a lot of things about this phone. But I do still think, generally speaking, Android phones are better and they're certainly more fun. But this is something I think Apple's trying to change with the latest iOS 18 upgrade. There's a lot of cool features they've added in here. Granted, some of them are quite laughable because it's features that have been in Android for like 10, 15 years or so. But yeah, it's quite good that they're adding, they're improving things, and they're obviously taking a lot of inspiration from Android. But just let's go look through the list here, and leave a comment below and tell me what you agree with. So there's a lot here that it just doesn't matter to me, and that's the one thing I did notice when I went from Android to iOS. There's a lot of things I did think would matter to me, but they didn't. And the first ones here are examples of that. I don't care about partial screen recording. A second user could be useful, but it's not something I felt that I've missed. No back gesture. Once you get used to how iOS navigates, I've not found that to be a problem. Camera settings are not in the camera app. That is something I did notice, and it's still something that annoys me. In the Android world, the default camera app, it's so easy to go up. Just change, settings. You go into the advanced settings area. You can change everything. There's so much control over it. It's not the same on iPhone. Yes, the camera app's good, the quality of images is good, but you just don't have the same level of control. That is something that I have missed. Now, can't customize which notifications I want from an app. You do have customization options over notifications. It's just not at the same level as you do on Android. No real game mode. Now, this is clearly not up to date because that's actually one of the announcements. And if you scroll down here, you can see somewhere, I'll get to it eventually. Passwords app, game mode. Here we go. Maximize gameplay performance. This is something I would have really been strongly for before. I've had a few Android phones that did have a game mode that, put all the resources to the game. And yeah, it's quite surprising that this was not on iOS before, but finally they have added it. Can't hide files and folders. Again, this is something that I always hated about iOS, the fact that you could not really secure things on your phone. You don't want anyone to just go in and be able to quickly access a banking app, or even certain people accessing your gallery, etc. But as you saw earlier on, you've now got the ability in the new iOS version to lock and hide apps. So that really is a step in the right direction. So yeah, very good point, but it's something that Apple seems to be addressing. No floating windows. So on iOS, when you're watching YouTube and Netflix, it will shrink the window. If you start browsing or doing something else, it will shrink that window, but it is very limiting. It's just not something that they've really optimized well, in my opinion. It just isn't as good as it should be. No maintenance repair mode, no status bar customization. Right, I don't care about the repair mode, no status bar customization. That's something else they're trying to improve. Controls gallery, as you can see there, they're not as good as Android, but again, it's a step in the right direction, giving you more control over what you see there. It was a good point though. No option to clear cache of apps, something I did used to do a lot on Android. I've not felt the need to do it on iOS, but I guess there are certain situations that could be useful. No direct restart option. Yes, that is bizarrely still something that's not there. No enlarged folders, no custom fonts. These are all things that they're kind of starting to roll out now with the new version, as far as more control over layouts and how things look. Yeah, they're giving you more personalization options. It's been a long time coming. Okay. No separate ring and notification volumes. again, this is something that doesn't bother me, but I can think of scenarios where someone would want that. So it's a good point. Can't clone apps, dual apps. Yes, very good point. This is something that is really powerful. You might think, why would you need that? Well, even take Twitter, take X. You can have multiple Twitter accounts, but rather than using a third-party solution or constantly signing out and signing in, you can just have a dual app where you log into one particular version of the app with one user profile and the other with your other username. So that's really useful. It is something I used to use sometimes for certain social media apps. So yeah, that would be really cool. No auto brightness toggle in the control center. Agreed. No third party launchers. I used to always install third party launchers. I haven't felt that I've missed it. Can't pin apps in the RAM. So it's not something I've missed, but the scenario I'm thinking about of that being useful is that with smartphones, they tend to try and optimize things naturally without you interfering per se. But sometimes what they have to do is throw some apps out the way. And maybe that means that they'll close your game app or they'll close something you didn't want to be closed. So if you can put something in memory and say, don't touch that, that can be good. But I think if you've got a kind of flagship phone, that's not something that's ever going to be a problem. First, notifications. No, I don't even know what that is, if I'm honest. No split screen, no clipboard, right? No clipboard, yes, that's very useful. But no split screen is the number one thing I have missed from Android. I've come from a few Android phones that had split screen, and I would watch YouTube, watch Netflix, and browse the web or post on social media. I used it all the time. I came from the Samsung Galaxy Fold 4 to this iPhone, and I had 3 or 4 screens open sometimes on tablet mode. That is something I've missed so much. And if I change back to Android later this year, it will be because of that reason. I cannot stress how useful split screen is to me. I love it so much and I miss it so much. Okay, can't specifically no clipboard, can't specifically deny mobile data Wi-Fi access. You can turn mobile data off in apps, but I don't think you can do both Wi-Fi and mobile access. No sidebar, doesn't bother me. No side loading, doesn't bother me. Can't resize the home screen layout. They have added a lot of new options here. I've not upgraded to see exactly what they let you do, but again, this kind of falls under the whole umbrella of styling the home page, moving icons around, etc. So I don't agree with everything that Noah Cat said. Some of the points here, I think they're maybe starting to be a little bit outdated just because of this new version of iOS 18, but there are a lot of really good points here. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of these. Certainly if whether you're an Android user or an iOS user, and certainly if you're someone that's used both, I'd love to hear your perspective on this and just talk about what you hate about iOS or what you think is missing that you think they could maybe steal from the Android world. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and until next time, take care.